This is the first in a series, we'll say, but I don't know how many there'll be, but let's just say right now, with a straight face. This is drumming your way to health. Both health. Both health. Physical and mental. God knows I'm a bastion of mental health. But seriously, folks, there's two things. Obviously, drumming. It's not like you're, you know, riding the pre-core thingy. But you physically can when you play the drums. This is going somewhere. Don't change the channel yet. You can literally... Hang on. Let me roll up my corduroy pant leg a la Keith Moon, because this beating will get caught in it. You know, honest to God, stuff like that never happens when I'm not making videos. It's meant to be. So if you're actually physical, you can literally do that, okay? I feel some calories going. My feet are going. My hands are going. Right? But there's another angle. Apart from the physical, and I'm dead serious about this, there's also the mental relaxation. In this crazy world, you know, sometimes if you have a couple jobs, you're doing this, you think about this all the time, and you think about that all the time, and you're running around doing this, and you might have the kids, or you might have this job, and you got to do this. We're not, I'm serious, a little out of breath from that. But our mental health. Now, here's the thing. Here's a good point, and I used to think of it this way. There are times, let's say you lose your keys, right? This is going somewhere, hopefully. You lose your keys, or you lose your phone, or you lose something. And you get, you know, you look for it, and you look for it, you get a little more upset, you look for it, you get a little more upset, and you're like, gosh, damn it, you look and you look. But then finally you get distracted by something. Typically what happens is, pardon me, what'll happen is, you'll get distracted by something like, yeah, pick your kid up from school or something at work, you do it, or something happens that gets your mind off it, okay? Your train of thought temporarily then, when you start really looking for something and obsessing about something, your certain like circuits in your brain are sort of all then operating sort of in the same area. It's like, like that. Seriously. But you get distracted, then suddenly when you're doing something else, like, oh, the keys are, and you remember, okay? So consider the metaphor. There's a concept called the breakthrough principle. I think it's the breakthrough principle. The breakthrough something, okay? Now the point of that is I think generally it was popularized in sort of the belief, sort of in like the, you know, we can do better at business. If you want to improve yourself, chugga, 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 that kind of thing. But ultimately what it is, really, is more of sort of a philosophical sort of relaxation kind of technique, I think. Because ultimately, when your brain truly relaxes, when stress is minimized, your brain operates at the best ability. Okay? I mean, it really does. When it's relaxed, it's not all freaked out. You know, the dudes in the control room are all like, and they can easily operate the machinery. You can remember fast, you can think clearer. But the point is this. In this breakthrough principle concept, which is kind of in a certain way commonsensical. Not that everybody would sort of a priori understand it, but you can see it in action. You know, there's sometimes if you're working on a problem or you've lost your keys and something happens where you get distracted, oftentimes you get distracted and what happens is somewhere in your brain, everything sort of resets. You know what I mean? It's almost like restarting your computer in a certain way. Anyway, as it goes with drumming, this fella that wrote this book, The Breakthrough Principle, I think it is. Look it up, The Breakthrough Principle. Essentially, there's 6 or 7 of these kind of exercises you can do, or concepts you can do to somehow come through to a breakthrough, a new idea, or remembering where your keys are, or just reaching sort of a mini, what did Maslow call it? Self-actualization? Sort of like a mini, not the big self-actualization, and sort of the Jim Carrey, when nature calls. But you have mini ones sometimes. You know, something happens, you do something nice, for, which is one of them. You do something nice for somebody or something. You just kind of get that calm, relaxed feeling in your mind. This person outlines. Look it up in another window. There's 5, 6, or 7 things. And you can find it. If you type in the breakthrough principle, blah, 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 you'll find in the all, you know, on Google you have like all shopping, whatever. If you go to images even, go to images, you'll see like a yellow page, if I'm not mistaken. The basic core of it's on one page. One of them is you do something nice for somebody. Another thing is if you you do something that you normally never do. Another one is doing something like a repetitive activity, like going for a long walk and ding, 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 as it relates to drumming. Something repetitive, okay? So not only when you just walk or you go jogging or squash or whatever the hell you do, there's not just the physical component of sort of getting your body going or getting your muscles up, which the key there, I think, ultimately with human beings, isn't necessarily so much, you don't have to run 20 miles a day, but at least for a little while a day, sort of, if you just sort of move a little, even if it's just yoga or freaking out, what happens is your juices flow. It's like if the car sits in the garage for 2 weeks with the snowblower, occasionally you better go out there and start it every so often, right? You got to get the juices flowing. You got to get the oil going before it coagulates, okay? Or you have a myocardial infarction. You don't want one of those babies either. But seriously, so with drums, it's kind of both. Well, it is both in the sense that you are getting physical activity, especially doing the Bonham crossover freak shows, but also, too, doing a repetitive thing over and over. Because when you do a repetitive thing, more often than not, what happens is, actually almost all the time, eventually you will if you do it long enough, you get into a zone. You do. Even if you have to clean your room or do something like wash the dishes. At first it sucks ass. It does. You know, you got to do it. You guys just had dinner or something. It's like, come on, Tara, do the dishes. You're like, all right. So you're sitting there and nobody's drying for you and everything's stacking up. But the thing is you're doing the dishes. After a while, you go on autopilot. You kind of like, you just start thinking about, boy, you know, later on tonight when I get that bag of Matt's chocolate chip cookies, I'm going to inhale it and I'm going to take the dog for a walk and then we might watch Homeland if it's on, that kind of thing. You get in sort of just like a, honestly, a zone, for lack of a better word. So when we play the drums, and I'm serious, I think drumming your way to health, honest to God, could be a concept with which one could cull in the dollars. Maybe I'll be that guy. Maybe I will dress up like Richard Simmons and have a drum set sitting there and make encouragement videos. But I'm dead serious. If you're like Joe Blow right now watching this, like, who is this middle-aged freak that I stumbled upon with the recommended for you videos on the side? I just wanted to see a guitar tab about Led Zeppelin. But I got this freaking guy that looks like Rick Short from 1985. Give me a sniglet. Get yourself a drum set. They're giving them away now. I'm not kidding. Drums, it's a primordial thing. Remember the scene from 2001 with all the apes and they're going berserker and they start smack? You know, people have been... People have been banging on drums since the dawn of time. Okay, get yourself a drum set. It's a great stress letter order. It's fun. I mean, it is. Even if you don't have rhythm, let's say. You know, there are people that be like, all you need is love, love. All you need is love. And they can't get it. I mean, I've been with people, I know actual human beings that are like Steve Martin in The Jerk. They couldn't, all you need is love. They couldn't snap their fingers in time. If you took a gun to their face and said, I'm about to shoot you in the face, they'd be like, speaking of who'd need a breakthrough at that point, you know what I mean? They certainly wouldn't be able to snippety snap. But if you relax and somebody gave you a shoulder shot, and if you said, oh, just kidding, and, you know, you had some cheerleader come on out with their, you know, boogie dance, somebody might be like, hey, and then maybe they might be able to. The point is this, watch. So in this breakout principle thingy, and this is true, I'm absolutely not shiting you. You can do a few things with the drums, right? You can freak out. long as it takes. Or just you play time. Let me mute the snare drum. Seriously. What the hell was that? You know what that was? That was in your brain, in your amygdala. I think it's your amygdala or your amygdala. Anyway, it's a little nugget that's in your brain, like a gland or some part of your brain, that sort of controls, I think that's what it is, one of those little, maybe your cerebral cortex, your amygdala, controls sort of like all the sort of, your stress and your relax, and you might even have the purse strings over your serotonin and dopamine, norepinephrine. But so here's the deal. It's, you know what? There's a similarity. There's a there's a metaphor. There's a similar structure for comparison. In meditating. Okay, sometimes what will happen is in meditating sometimes you'll hear, find a nice quiet place. Nice, warm, comfortable. You find that place and you lay down. Try to be nice and calm, think happy thoughts. But then what they say is this. Now, stress starting in your shoulders, stress up, stress your shoulders and your back and your arms, and move down to your legs and stress and tense. And try to make your body all tense. I swear to God, they do this. I'm not making it up. Get all tense. And you get all tense and you hold it for about 30 seconds and then release. And then just relax, and you literally relax. Now what happens there, ultimately then what this breakout principle, that's what it is, the breakout principle holds, is that the stressor is if you're trying to remember the keys are and you're freaking out, or you're racking your brain out on an idea. You're racking your brain, racking your brain, but you get distracted, or you do one of these general I think it's 5, 6, or 7 principles. Either do a repetitive activity, do something, immerse yourself in something, one of your interests, do an altruistic thing, do something completely out of the box. You look it up. Like I said, get a parallel window, you'll see it. But what happens is so the stressing up as you're laying there, leading into the relaxing, the stressing up on the drums, ow, would be literally like, so you might do that till you're tired, right? It might take me a little while to get tired, but, ow. So you do that, you keep doing it, you keep doing it, but then eventually you go like this. Remember, at that point, when you're doing that, you're stressed. It's a stress, you're stressing your whole body up. It's the actual time, the metaphor, the same as physically laying there and stressing your body, I mean, getting yourself all anxious and stressed physically. But then the release, the physical release, is then this. And nice and relaxed, totally serious. Now what happens there with the stress, the reason why they do the stressor up front when you do, or get yourself physically stressed before you do the chill relax, is then that way especially I think for beginning meditators, you know you're starting from a spot physically that is, it's sort of like a metaphor, the physical metaphor, not even the metaphor, I mean, because the yin and the yang of the physical and mental are tied together in one cohesive, holistic, chunky. So what happens is, as your body's totally stressed, you know what then the stress feels like you're all tense. But then when you relax, you know instantly then, because it's the opposite of tense, then you relax. And then you know, your body then knows when you do relax what being relaxed feels like. So you can kind of get into it. But then I know what happens is your baseline, if you're just being your normal self, you try to relax, sometimes that's hard. But if you get yourself all physically tense, as is the recommendation or the advice or the procedure that these gurus of self-help and relaxation espouse. Once you do that relax, like that total chill, it drops you through how you'd normally be. Then you know what relax feels like. And then the whole point is the doorway then to kind of understanding kind of what relaxing and ultimately what meditation is. So the vehicle, the concept of playing the drums ties right into that. Because you're tripping hard, you're doing the craziness, right? You're going berserker, but then you... Now this is the relax, this is the... Right now when you're just playing time, it's the total chill. You could be on the ride. With the hi-hat in. Okay? I'm deadly serious about it. I really think that if somebody who had a lot more cred than myself, who wasn't considered to be a complete, probably, whack job as myself, if somebody, let's think of a famous drummer, but who has some sort of a mystic credibility. Steve Gadd would, except that not a lot of middle upper class housewives would know who he is. Let's say Don Henley. Let's say Don Henley suddenly had this concept. He's like, hi, I'm Don Henley from the Eagles. You know, all the songs that you 56-year-olds to 70 totally loved. Here's a new concept. And he honestly went into it. I think you actually probably could really start a fad. But anyway, at the very least, drummers that hopefully are watching this video, or musicians, even if you're a guitar player, you've always been thinking about getting a set of drums, get it, because I can't tell you again how healthy playing the drums, again, not physically too. You really can, you know, especially with a lot of the technique stuff the younger kids do today with the double bass and all the quads and the quints and all kinds of crazy stuff they do, all that stuff. But even if you're doing sort of the more sort of rudimentary bottom kind of things, I mean, you'll actually burn calories. But again, more importantly, physically, your juices, as I've said, will flow. But also, too, it sort of detaches, your mind sort of gets into a place where you shift it sort of from one realm, which would be that if you're going berserker, the tense up, into then just playing a little time. Nice and soft, trying to keep it nice and even. Don't think about anything, that kind of thing. I'm dead serious about this. So hopefully that's helpful. More videos on the way. The next video I make, I'm going to put my board, my 8-channel board here. There'll be a condenser mic right here, because I think it's the best location. I will try putting one down there in front of the bass drum, although I think, at least for these video purposes, I'm going to maybe have one above. I'll sort of EQ the top one for the cymbal action, and this one's sort of more for the tom bass drum. Thanks for watching, and if you can, don't forget, I do have a couple hundred left of these babies, my Terry Keating Greatest Hits. Remember, I wrote these songs myself. It's not just a drumming album, okay? They're kind of poppy tunes. People actually like it. And again, as I've said, number 3 was actually on WXRT radio in Chicago. Honest Indian, okay? Thanks for watching. Remember, on eBay, if you see this on eBay, Kingish is the seller. It'll be signed. If you buy it there, it'll be signed. Thank you, Johnny, or Sally, or whoever. Terry Keating. BONZOLEUM. Thanks for watching. More videos on the way. Thanks.